so successful? I mean, that's the real question, right? But the answer is so simple. There is no answer to success. In today's society, we view success as how much money you make, how many cars you drive, and how big your house is. But is that all there is? Is there more to achieving happiness? Is there more to attaining success? I believe that success is completely dependent on the individual. So, for example, someone may see success as being part of a big family or being able to travel often. I think it's completely dependent on yourself. The only problem with my view is that it's constantly overshadowed by society, what they want you to buy, the big price tags and the shiny things. So, when I was little, I was a lot cuter then than I am today, but I said I wanted to be a farmer, and I was so excited. I'd get to wear the plaid and the overalls and work with animals. I realized a few things. Animals smell really bad. Farmers have really hard jobs, and they don't make a lot of money. So once I realized what money was and what I could do, I decided I wanted to be a payer. So for those of you who don't know, a payer is someone who just gets paid. They don't do anything, but they get paid. And even today, I would still love to be a payer. I sadly realized that wasn't going to happen, so I started to look at other careers that offered a generous amount of money, such as doctor or lawyer. The only problem with these careers is that I really don't like science, and I don't want to study law at all. But I had convinced myself for a few years, actually, that I would want these careers because I'd be able to make a lot of money, because I thought that's what success meant to me. Looking back now, I realized that was foolish. I realized that you shouldn't be buying into what everyone says you should be doing. I realize now that, you know what? I have a problem. And that problem is completely my own. I mean, I'm a fairly hardworking student. And I try really, really hard, and I get pretty good grades. But I felt like I had no options because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now I realize that I don't have to know what I want to do. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be a failure. I still have options. And around the time when my peers knew what they wanted, it was hard for me. It was hard to deal with. But I realized that I have a fear of failure, and that was what was holding me back. I feared so dearly that if I didn't do well on something, like a stupid test or an assignment, that I'd disappoint every single person around me, including myself. I would stay up till the wee hours of the morning working on something that probably didn't even mean that much, just to feel like I had done something. I realize now that failure cannot and should not be avoided. Failure is essential. We need failure to learn, because there will be no moving forward if you can't learn from the mistakes you've made. So next, I'm going to read a couple stories of some people you may have heard of. First is Walt Disney. For those of you who don't know, Walt Disney used to be a newspaper editor, but he was fired because he lacked creative imagination and had no good ideas. He was also told that the mouse wouldn't work. He went on to create his own animation studio. He failed with a couple animations, but he succeeded with Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, a childhood classic. He went on to build a worldwide empire that has impacted the lives of children everywhere. Next is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, Apple, for all of his failures. He later moved on, found the company Next, which he later sold to Apple. He then bought Pixar, made it a huge success with Toy Story, and then sold it to Disney. He was later reinstated as the CEO of Apple, where he introduced the iPhone, a device that would revolutionize the way we communicate, a device that is in many of our pockets right now. And finally, a personal favorite, the Beatles. The Beatles were told by Decca Recording Studios that they had no future in show business. Odd, I know. And they were struggling to get signed to a record label, but they succeeded and were signed with EMI. To this day, they've won numerous records, won numerous Grammys, won an Academy Award for Let It Be, and were even elected members of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. They still remain today as the best-selling band in history. All three of these people, or groups, came from fairly humble beginnings with not much to start with. They tried and tried again, and they failed. But they succeeded, and they succeeded to become some of the most recognizable names in society today. Next, I have a quote from Sir Winston Churchill. "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." If you let every single bad thing that happens to you hold you back from living up to your potential, you can never dream of success. It is the courage to continue that counts. It is the courage that can take you places. Now, I'm not a music legend, I'm not a business mogul, but I have had my fair share of failure. When I was in grade 7, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. At the same time, I was being bullied. Grade 7 was the worst. I would never want to go back, and it was awful. I really closed myself off, and I really started to dislike the people around me and myself. That year wasn't a total failure. My mom is now 3 years cancer-free. The girl that got me through that year is still my best friend today. And I feel like now I have a better outlook on life and a better outlook on myself. I believe that I can be something great now, and that I don't have to worry about what other people say or what other people think about me, and that I can worry about what I want to be and what I want to do. And it's really opened my eyes. The Huffington Post recently released an article called 5 Things Dying People Say. They include, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a true life. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express myself. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I'd let myself be happier." In all honesty, I have no idea what my future holds. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know what university or college I'm going to go to. What I do know is I don't want to say a single thing on this list, because I believe that I, as well as everybody, has the potential to be something great. So I challenge each and every one of you to go out and find what you love and see what stands in your way and challenge it and try again and fail, but learn from that failure. Take it as motivation to do great things, because you need to take the failure of today and turn it into the success of tomorrow, and that is the truth of success. Thank you.